What's up, guys? So we're camping out in the woods tonight. We're doing a little haunted forest for you. We're in a woods in the South Downs of England, the south of England in Kent, and we're going to talk about all things supernatural. So Andy, are you going to kick off tonight's camping ghost stories?
Yeah, I mean,
Show people the fire.
haunted woods. I mean, I think there are some famous haunted woods. There is one. I think it's Wales. Is it Pembury Woods? That's supposedly very, very haunted.
Yeah.
And I suppose unexplained, you've got to go through Rendlesham Forest, the
UFO
the big
place.
UFO, which you can actually camp in there, and there's all signs around that forest telling you where different information signs where people saw it, what happened there, and stuff like that. But you can actually camp in that bit, you know, with the
supposedly
the
landed.
UFO landed, because somebody has actually built a replica of it in the middle of that woods.
Yeah.
And people have had a lot of gone in there and camped, and have had a lot of activity in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to remember, I think, people get jumpy.
Yeah, people do.
Because, I mean, they see a pair of eyes and you think, well, it's wildlife, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is wildlife.
And you hear rustling and you hear owls and all sorts of things.
Yeah, because it's so quiet.
Yeah.
And because we're like the only ones here.
Yeah. So I'll just show you guys around where we are. So we're literally, our tent is back there. And we're right in the middle of the woods. Thick woods, pitch black. You probably hear owls in a little while. And that's our campfire, and there's Andy. And that's all our cooking stuff, because we're going to make dinner later.
Yeah.
So,
Camp cookery.
Camp cookery
Camp cookery.
by a camp chef.
Yeah. Alright, that's not awesome.
So for me, these woodland stories really are more about highwaymen, because you've got the likes of Dick Turpin, who we covered the other night on the shoot, and we've got Robin Hood and his band of merry men, which were Yorkshire. But there were some people said he actually came down as far as Lincolnshire as well.
Yeah.
But mostly for me, I think the forest is all about highwaymen passing through with the bandits, heading for a road, ready to take a coach, ready to rob the rich. And these woods are still so haunted by those characters, those Dick Turpin type highwaymen characters.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that their ghosts still roam these woods.
I mean, for me, woodland, I mean, like this, for me, it's all about witchcraft. And I think, because it was a place where they could go, they could light fires, they could do the rituals without being seen, because a lot of people wouldn't come into the woods at night. They were scared, and I don't know, it's just got a feeling about it that's just so calming, isn't it?
Very.
It is calming, but the stories, you've got...
tell the viewers about Gerald Gardner's coven that used to practice down in these woods here.
There was...
Roundabouts.
There is a woods. There's a place, it's called Canode, and I hope I've got the pronunciation. Canode Forest, which is the Essex area, which isn't that far from here. The story goes there was a village there, Canowden, and the guy lived there called Old George Pickingill, and he was supposedly, what did they call him, a wise man. And he supposedly was a witch, and a lot of people in the village were afraid of him. His reputation was that he was the high priest of several covens. Yeah. And they practiced the witchcraft in the forest and everything like that. You get any books on witchcraft, his name always comes up. There's pictures of him. He just looked like your gentle old granddad. But yeah, he did have a very big reputation. Gerald Gardner was more the sort of New Forest area. Gerald Gardner originally he was a naturist.
Because he went on television naked, didn't he?
Yeah, and he started getting more in the witchcrafted basically. It wasn't really, there wasn't really much written about it. Now he wrote a book, and he got more and more interested in the original witchcraft and the rituals and everything, and he wrote his own Book of Shadows. Now the story goes that, whether it's true or not, I don't know, a lot of his Book of Shadows was written, he was an acquaintance of Aleister Crowley. A lot of his witchcraft, supposedly his Book of Shadows, the original Wiccan Book of Shadows, what they call Gardnerian witchcraft, was written, they wrote it together. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. The original manuscript of the original Gerald Gardner Book of Shadows is now owned by a witch who lives in Portugal, in the Algarve, and it's worth a fortune.
Yeah.
He actually never really shows anybody. It's kept in like a safety deposit box, because it's that.
Bit like From the Ninth Gate, the book.
Yeah. I mean, there are various different kinds of witchcraft. There's the traditional old way, which I myself prefer because that's the original way. For me, what they call Wiccans, and that is more of a modern witchcraft, and for me it's more of a hippie sort of thing. It's all about, you cannot don't do spells to harm anybody, don't do spells to do this, and for me, if somebody's done something bad against you, then you've got to fight back. You can't just go, oh well, we'll just try and change the behaviour. No, you want to. And I think it's Wiccans more for white witches, how they put it, that they never have a bad thought about anybody. No matter what anybody does to them, they're always nice. And life isn't like that.
No.
So, yeah, if somebody's going to cause me, my family, or any problems, I'm going to fight back.
Yeah,
and if I can fight back through that, then I will do. But,
Alright, so
there's Alexandrian witchcraft, which is Alexander's, but, I'm
going to grab the torch and just have a quick walk around through the woods, because I'm all about the highwaymen. You're all about the witches, and I'm all about the highwaymen. So I'm going to grab the torch and have a little walk about, and you can guard the fire.
I'll guard the fire.
I'll be right back. We need to see what's going on in these parts.
I'll guard the fire.
So guys, get your hot chocolates ready, and dim your lights at home, and get ready to have a little walk through the woods. We'll see what's going on. We'll see if we pick up any haunted sounds, any hooves. I'll only be about 10 minutes and I'll come back, and then we can carry on with the stories. Andy's guarding the fire pit. We'll have a little walk. We'll go for a little tour. So, yeah. Very Blair Witch, guys. Very Blair Witch up here. So let's see if we see any orbs coming forward. I'm keeping my voice low because I don't want to disturb the woodland animals too much, because they'll run out if we keep it quiet. There's more chance of us picking up any ghosts. So, do we have any highwaymen here present? Would you like to try and come forward? My spirit guide Lewis, my guardian angel, he comes from the 1650 to the 1728 era, and he lived at a time when the highwaymen were prevalent. He lived at a time when, he witnessed some of this stuff going on the roads between Bristol and London. My spirit guide Lewis was born in 1658 and lived till 1728, and he was a wine and coffee merchant who lived and worked in London, and also went over to Bristol and other parts of the southern British Isles. So when I'm communicating with spirits from his particular era, I ask Lewis to come forward, and sometimes, and it has happened on one or two occasions, we have picked Lewis's voice up on the camera. He has spoken to us directly, so don't be surprised if you hear a soft man's voice speaking. If you hear a soft man's voice speaking with a gentle lilt in the background, in the faintly, that will be Lewis, so don't worry about that. I hear from him all the time, personally, as a one-to-one, because he's my guardian angel. But he doesn't really speak when we're doing investigations, because he doesn't want to ruin the investigation. He respects what we're doing and stuff like that. But whilst I'm working with Lewis, he's protecting me now because I'm walking through the woods alone. And if he's doing his job, he'll be trying to find us some Dick Turpin type characters to come forward. So if there's anybody out there from the 1700s who used to ride through these woods, my guardian spirit here, Lewis, will bring you forward and speak to you. And if you hear a soft voice speaking on here, a male voice, it will be Lewis, so don't worry too much about that. He tries not to interfere with our filming, but he has sometimes been picked up saying messages to me. We picked him up on camera once at Smithills Hall. I'd gone into a haunted room alone, and I kept really quiet, and I was filming round. That's our fire there in the background. And a soft man's voice said, "Come forward if you're there," and it was Lewis. And I didn't hear that until I played it back. And when I asked him about it, he said, "Well, you hadn't called out, so I thought I'd do it for you." So he's always a handy, an ideal spirit guide to help us out on these investigations. But most particularly when we're calling out for spirits from the 16 and 1700s, will Lewis then step in and help us to bring these spirits forward, because it's his era. It's when he lived.
He's back.
Yeah, so we're back. Andy's here. So I was just showing the guys a little of the woods and just explaining about Lewis, my guide, and how he's from the 1700s. And if there are any highwaymen, then Lewis will be able to pull those people forward because of the era that he lived here. Are there any spirits, people present around this campsite right now? That's our tent there. That's where we're sleeping tonight. Come around, Andy.
Show yourself in the fire.
Come and make yourself welcome and warm yourself at our fire. Let's see you on the camera. Let's hear you. Or if there are any witches present who used to practice in these woods, please come forward. Let us see you on the camera. Yeah, definitely. So this particular woods is called Little Nash Woods, but the south of England is full of these woods. And these woods are quite magical, as Andy explained before, due to the history of the witchcraft that's gone on here in the past. And my guide Lewis will now walk about and see if he can pull anybody forward for us.
Yeah, it's just... the witchcraft thing is It was, I mean, when you think about it, it was, well, it was banned until, I think about 1958, that was like 1954 and 58, and there were no witch trials or out like that or anything like that. There hadn't been for a long, long time, and basically, people forgot about it, you know, and there were the films and stuff like that. Yeah, there were the occult stuff that was going on with Aleister Crowley and all that lot. But that was occult, and a lot of people, because they didn't have the money to be involved in these occult societies, it was more, you sort of, with these occult societies like Aleister Crowley and other famous occultists, you had to be invited, and you had to have attained a certain knowledge before you were allowed in. And I think about 1954, Jerry Gardner wrote a book, and obviously, to get round, he wanted to get his ideas back, and the old rituals back. So he obviously couldn't go out and publish them, because there was always a thing that you didn't write about it, you didn't tell it, it was passed down your family line, you know, like hereditary witches, which is where it was passed from family member to family member down the line, and it was sort of frowned on that anybody outside of that. But then again, if you're naturally, it doesn't necessarily mean it's family. You could be a guide, or just how you want to live your life that way, or your beliefs. You're not Christian beliefs and you're looking for something else, and that's how I've found it.
I think it finds you, really, doesn't it?
I think it was something, I mean, I'm not sure, I still believe my grandmother practices little things before she died, you know, when she knew she didn't have long to left, I was only about 6 years old, and she wanted me to stay with her. Little things she said, things she had around the place, and it figured, and that's why she stays with me now. And she was a big influence on that, and that, like, when the first time I ever went to Stonehenge, I was about 5, and it was like something that stayed with me to this day. It's an experience, it's a place that, I know people go to the pyramids and they can go to all these amazing places, but that place, when I see it, it just...
You can't believe it, can you, when you look at it? For those people that have been, they'll know what we're talking about.
If you don't feel anything when you go there, then... Yeah. But,
do you remember the first time we went, about 15 years ago?
It was...
So we went for the first time to Stonehenge together.
I
mean, like, you've been and I've been separately, but together 15 years ago, and we're walking around looking at the stones. Everybody's got the theories. What is it? Is it prehistoric? Is it calendar? What is it? So, no disrespect to our USA viewers, right, but there was a couple of American guys standing there with the big Stetson hats on, weighing it up. One of them said to the other, "I think it's an alien landing pad." And the other one was like, "Yeah, it's got to be that. It's got to be an alien landing pad. It's like circular." It was so funny, wasn't it? But then I started thinking about that. I thought, what if it is? What if it was an alien landing pad for the prehistoric people?
And that theory isn't as mad as it sounds.
No, it isn't.
At the time, it sounded a bit mad. But when you think about it, some of them stones, I think the ones that they have on the big stones that were all round the top, I think the blue stones.
How were they lifted up there?
They're only mined in one place in this country.
Yeah.
And it's a mountain in Wales.
So how did they get them from there to Stonehenge?
How did they get those? The only theory that somebody came up with was that at the time there was some sort of waterway. But then again, you look at it, how old that place is. Those stones, they tried to do, and the same weight of those stones, they've tried to move them manually.
I think they managed to roll them on logs, didn't they?
And
Once
they
the
tried
students...
rolling them, and there was a way of doing it, but it was like, yeah, that's all very well and good. Yeah, we've proved that you can move them one way or another, but how long would it take? I mean, that was only one.
Yeah, Stonehenge is just one thing, innit?
You know, and they did, yeah, but I mean,
all over the world there's different things.
Most famous one, but there's stone circles all over.
There's stone circles all over England and Scotland.
There's everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
But I think Stonehenge was probably like the, you know,
the central place probably.
You know, around the world you have places like, you know, all Catholics flock to the Vatican, don't they?
Yeah. And all Muslims go to Mecca, to the mosque, the main mosque.
Yeah. Jews go to, is it the Wailing Wall in
Jerusalem?
Don't.
They do, yeah.
If I'm wrong with that, you get Church of England people. The place is Westminster Abbey.
Yeah.
That's the well. That was probably the place where people went.
Like the central place.
Whether there was, I mean, it's a big place for Druids, and whether it was a place of sacrifice, that we would. It's not no. You don't know. You know, there are a lot of places around that area that is sort of Somerset. That area is a very magical, mystical area.
Yeah, because there's Avesbury as well, which is further back.
You've also got the King Arthur theme going on.
Yeah.
Glastonbury and things like that. Tintagel. You've got that. This country's full of
steeped in mysticism, this country, and ancient history.
And a lot of these, you know, you've got the stories of King Arthur. Now, that is a very pagan story. You know, you've got the lady in the lake and all that lot. You know, and you had Morgana, who was a witch.
Yeah.
You have Merlin, and all through time you've had stories. So there's got to be something in it. But going back to what I was saying about Gerald Gardner, he wanted to write and reveal rituals. So obviously he couldn't at the time because of it being against the law. So he wrote a book called High Magic Aid, and there are a lot of the rituals in there. In 1958 they repealed the Witchcraft Act, and he started writing about the history of it, and then several other people started writing the Book of Shadows. Doreen Valiant, or I'm not sure how it's pronounced. She was amazing. She wrote some amazing ritual, amazing chants, meditations, and whatever, and she did. And I mean, the funny thing is, she lived in Brighton, and you think of a witch, you think living in an old cottage and
all the woods
in
like
the middle
these.
of the woods and everything.
Blow
and there was a blue plaque up after she passed away, put up on her home. We went to find it, and we found it, and it was on the side of a high-rise block of flats.
Yeah.
And that's where she lived.
Yeah, because she used to keep a fire extinguisher by her altar in case she set it on fire by accident.
Yeah, but she
I mean, I've set ours on fire numerous times.
Yeah.
But I always managed to stamp it out with something.
But I think when people talk about witchcraft, the two people that they always seem to forget is Janet and Stuart Farrer.
Oh yeah, of course, Witches' Sabbath.
The Way of the Witches and the Witches' Bible, which is two books together. You've got people like Eileen Holland, you've got Patricia Crowther, you've got all these others. Alexander's, for me, he was more about the publicity of it. Whether he was true what he did, I don't know. There's a lot of stories of I don't want to, because I don't want to be,
We don't want to get too deep for people, because most people still at the Harry Potter stage.
But, I mean,
you know, and like, to be fair, that is such a good idea for kids, Harry Potter, because
it's fascinating, isn't it?
J.K. Rowling has written other books. She writes a series called Strike and Robin on television under a other pseudonym, which is Robert Galbraith, and that is actually J.K. Rowling. And in those books, if you read them, there is a lot of detailed descriptions of witchcraft and different occult rituals and rituals to Baphomet and things like that. So she knows her stuff. So when she wrote Harry Potter and the full series for movies for kids to understand witchcraft, it was a good thing, because these shops that are springing up now all over the UK, York, London, we saw one the other day, didn't we? Cambridge.
Yeah, and I think kids,
it's helping kids open their minds to the ancient traditions of witchcraft, and they're reading these Harry Potter books, but then they're developing an interest in further back the Witch's Bible and all the other books that are available, and it's bringing it back and it's keeping it alive, which is really important.
I remember it might be, we were in a shop somewhere, and there were mum and dad, and there was a young girl there, weren't she? She was not only a teenager, and she was going through sort of the witchcraft and occult area of the boots, and she was looking for a boot to start off with, wasn't she?
Yeah.
You know, and there are people who want to practice as solitary witches, you know.
Well, I've got the solitary witch. I've taken lots of good things out of that. I prefer to practice alone. You can work more in an individual. I found when me and you do witches circles together, we're climbing over each other and we're stamping on each other's feet. We're getting in underfoot with each other. You're trying to do your Viking thing. I'm trying to do my pagan thing. You're swinging your ceremonial sword about, and I'm thinking I'm going to end up decapitated at this rate.
Yes,
so this is better. How we work it. You have your personal space and your time to do it.
Yeah.
I have my personal space and my time to do it.
I think because
it's more effective.
We both use different.
Well, you do Viking and I do ancient Egyptian.
Although we're both pagans, we both have differing views that we argue over, but I have differing ways that I want to go with mine, and I know a lot of people, you dabbling with, but I'm interested in I'm very interested in the satanic side, and I know people will go on about it, but I want to learn more. I'm starting to learn a lot more about that side of it. One, because it fascinates me, and it's an interest. And not only that, I think if you can use these things, you can protect yourself more.
Yeah.
You can protect yourself more against negative energies, because you've got that, would I say, knowledge of the dark side. You can use that dark side to protect yourself, working with things, and it's all about. I mean,
I heard something crackle over there then, but it could be animals.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of foxes, rabbits, and deer and stuff in this woods. Yeah. So not everything is going to be ghost, but I have asked Lewis to try and find if there's any phantoms or spirits around to bring them forward. But knowing Lewis, he'll have gone off to the rum shop and not come back.
Thing is, your senses are heightened in the dark. You
hear the animals.
You hear a lot more things that if you were sat here, you hear things.
Because you're asking for ghosts, you're hearing ghosts.
You sat here, you hear things.
I think I'd more be impressed in the woods if I actually saw something on the camera rather than heard something. Unless it was a cackle or, a voice or something like that.
But
there's crackling over there. It's rain? Is it rain?
It's rain,
I think it's rain. See, those are the kinds of sounds when you're camping out in the woods that can make you jump, you know what I mean? Because your fire's crackling, you know about that, and you're talking to each other. But when it rain, or even birds, you know, owls manoeuvring about through the trees, straight away you jump and think, oh, is it paranormal, is it a ghost? So really you can't, although we're camping out in the middle of the woods here alone, it's like you can't really go off the sounds unless you hear definitely a human voice, a person, you know, like a ghostly disembodied voice or something coming through. I'm thinking it isn't raining, so I'm guessing that's owls manoeuvring around because they'll be up and about now this time of night. The sun's gone down and it's dark. I think it was probably owls, to be fair.
Trees are wet, aren't they?
Yeah, they are a bit.
It's coloured.
Yeah, it did rain before, didn't it?
Yeah,
So perhaps.
But
I always think about Robin Hood when I sit out like this in the forest with the fire. It's like, you imagine Robin Hood and his band of men and Maid Marian all sitting around. I mean, they just rode to England and just camped anywhere, didn't they, really?
Yeah.
They lived like this all the time. And the Major Oak in York, well, it's in Mansfield in Nottingham, where supposedly his men, you know, camped. It's still there, that tree. Although it's propped up now on crutches and things, it's still there. The oak beams.
It is.
Well, they don't know if it's the actual one, but it's one that goes back 500 years, so it's kind of the time when he was around and stuff.
Yeah. We got thrown out of Sherwood Forest, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we got kicked out. We were outlaws, weren't we?
We were nearly arrested.
Yeah, we were. We did. We got thrown clean out of there.
We were actually escorted off the premises.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Do you want to tell the viewers why?
Yeah, well, there was a Centre Parks near enough in Sherwood Forest. So we camped somewhere. We camped at a campsite, and the guy with the campsite come over, and we got a free bog roll.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway,
for £15 with the tent thrown in.
We decided we'd go over, so we just walked through the gates, past the parked up in the car, right next to the security lodge. Security were in there. We walked in. We went to a
Cafe Rouge for a drink.
In there. We bought ourselves 2 drinks. We sat and chilled out. We walked back. We went through security. Went to the car. Guy followed us. Are you staying here? Oh no. So what are you doing here? So we walked in and went and had a drink, and we've come back out. You do realise you're not allowed in there. Well, there's no signs. Well, you need to come to the security lodge. So he was giving us all this. You might have to pay. It's £200 a day here, and this, that, and you will have to pay. We walked in. So he was being a bit odd about it. You know, you'll have to pay this. So well, there's no signs, and we walked straight through, and the car's there. We were up to no good. We wouldn't have parked there. We'd have sneaked in through the bushes. But anyway, you got to do whatever you need to do.
I think it is a little bit of wind and rain thing. Yeah, so we got escorted off, didn't we?
Anyway, so as he's walking back to being a bit funny, he was being a bit funny, and he went, so what time did you come in? Me being me, I went, I said, it had been about 8 o'clock, I said, because I said, security were in that security hut watching the football. And he went, all right, go on.
Yeah.
So
we got escorted off and kicked out of Sherwood Forest, didn't we, outlaws? Which was good.
We moved.
It was an experience.
We moved. We drove off, and the guy followed us in his 4x4 to the gate, didn't he? And then we went.
We'll give it the finger through the window out with £200 for camping in the forest. Yeah. Why the hell would you pay £200? But the thing is, it's not even camping.
It really wasn't.
I'll go anywhere near Centre Parks, right, if I won a free ticket to the place. But the detached houses with garages for the cars and the bikes and everything for the kids, and it's like the hiring detached houses at £250 a day for a holiday in the woods.
This is
Look,
camping.
We're just here. We just turned up. We pitched. We're here. This is all you need. You've got your fire pit. You've got a good stash of food over there and pots and pans. Yeah. I've got the old pot and pan here in the chair.
Oh, thank you, love.
And I've got the tent over there for sleeping in.
There you go.
And I've got my spirit guide Lewis wandering around in the woods somewhere. I think he's over there because I can hear some rustling. It's probably going to be him. He won't show himself, by the way, guys. He won't even do that to me. He won't even... I see him with what is known as the third eye. And I talk to him all the time through... He sits cross-legged on the floor and we chat about this and that. I ask him questions, he gives me his answers. That's how we work together. But the funny thing is about my guide Lewis, he sometimes is a bit jumpy about ghosts. He's very clumsy, which is where I get it from. No, he's a bit jumpy sometimes because, like, I'll take him into a haunted place, right? And I'll say, right, come on, Lewis, go in this room and tell me what you're getting. And he'll cling to me and go, oh, do I have to? And I'm like, yeah, because you're already on the spirit side. And he's like, but I really don't want to. And I'm like, but you've got to. So you don't think of like spirit guides and guardian angels actually having a fear of the paranormal, but he does a little bit and he's like, well, look, the ghost used to freak me out in life, so I'm just the same now as I've crossed over. So yeah, we have a lot of fun, a lot of banter, Lewis and I. And how I got to know him, I was doing a ritual spell at home. I cast a witch's circle and I did a ritual spell to invite forward my spirit guide. Wasn't sure who he or she was. Wasn't sure about anything really. And then I meditated, because you meditate to see if you can make communication. And I could just see an outline of a man with like a frock coat, leggings, pointy boots, tricorn hat, and I thought, I'm sure this is him. I thought, oh my god, he's going to be some highwayman or some really dodgy person, you know, this guide. When he finally come forward, there's something called automatic writing that you can do, and that's the way that Lewis and I communicate. And what we do, I pick up a feather quill pen, dip it in the ink, hold it in my hand, close my eyes, and the pen just starts going off on its own writing in that kind of swirly 17th century fancy hand. And when I look, he's written me a message. And this is how we communicate, like, a lot of the time. But now that I've built up like a proper bond with him, we can just sit and chat, we can just sit and talk anywhere at all. But he's a bit of a prankster. He does like to play the odd trick here and there, like he'll hide money and stuff like that, and then it'll appear a couple of days later. He's exactly the same now in spirit as he was in life. And he's a lovely person, and I'm really happy and really safe to have him around, especially when I go off into dark places on my own, you know, and haunted, spooky places on my own. He's there for protection. It just makes you feel better about it all. So if you ever hear me referring to Lewis or talking to Lewis when we're doing live shoots, that's why. That's who he is.
Yes. And people ask why you do the paranormal.
Yeah.
And I think if you ask most people who do it, they've had experiences, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Of the self. I mean, I've said before, I've had several, you know, and you start wanting to know why, and you start wanting, and it's funny how I've had experiences before I started doing it. Now, you know, to get them things happening again, a couple of them I probably wouldn't want again. The one at my sister's old house, I wouldn't want that again.
Yeah.
That was scary. And for two people to have the same experience in the same house, in the same room,
there must have been something there.
and not even mention it to each other.
You've still not talked about it to this day.
We've never spoke about it. It was only my mum, because we both mentioned it to my mum, that we spoke about it, and we haven't. Oh, that's that coat buckle. I wonder what the hell that is.
Yeah, well, you might get animals coming up curious. So the eyes will be the animals.
It was off the coat buckle. I wonder what it was.
The coat buckle has eyes.
No, it's the reflection of the
chair's falling bits. I always get the dodgy chair. Why do I always get the crappy chair that's dropping bits? There'll be switch chairs when I go off walking around the woods. It's like a rocking chair, this one. I'm going to end up spread eagle on the floor for a change. Do you remember the one in Edinburgh that collapsed completely underneath me? And I couldn't be bothered to move because I was really stuck into a good book and I thought, I'm staying on the floor.
Well, it wasn't a chair, it was one of the chairs long. It was on 3 legs with no arms.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. It was in a bad way, that chair.
I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how I do it.
I really don't.
I just destroy everything I touch, so it's like that's why I just don't bother touching anything most of the time. It's one of them things, isn't it? Witches are meant to be clumsy. It's true.
It is though. I mean, but there's a fascination with...
Sometimes things can backfire during witchcraft, like it did for me about 10 months ago or something. I was doing a spell invoking Asmodeus, which is a very high protector angel of when you're doing dark things like this, and even darker things such as Ouija boards. So I had this pentacle on the floor, right, and I was doing this chant to Asmodeus, and I had the salt water, and I flicked the salt water around, and I had some candles and little oil lamps lit on the altar, and the salt water got in one of the oil lamps, and it went bang, and all these flames shot up and all these sparks come flying out. I thought, oh well, at least I've got Asmodeus then. He's arrived. He's definitely showed himself.
But it is though, isn't it? And, you know, and people tend to think straight away, oh, you're doing witchcraft, you're in the middle of the woods dancing around a fire naked. Well, let's put it this way.
I wouldn't dance through this woods naked.
I mean, come on. It's cold. You know, but people, there are dark sides of it.
They do up at Pendle Hill go naked in the woods.
There are people who covens that do it.
Because remember, we went in the Witch's Galore shop.
Yeah,
and the lady in there was going on saying, oh, there was about, well, it would have been 13, wouldn't it, the coven?
Oh, yeah.
There was an handful of them the other week dancing naked through the woods up all night. They were making noise. I thought, well, they're doing traditional practices, aren't they? We went through the woods. The day we rescued the boatman, we went through the woods that day and saw some druids practicing and with blades, you know, like proper swords and everything.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah. I mean, for me, that's the difference between the traditional witchcraft and the your witchcraft that people like Pendle witches and that period of time. And conjuring up demons and this, that, the other. That's the difference between what people a lot of witches practice now as Wiccans and Wicca is the old witches were afraid to use what power and what knowledge they got and whatever they were to get what they wanted. And that's what I believe. You've got the knowledge, you've got the power to use the knowledge. Use it for what you need.
And it's been around for thousands of years.
Use it to protect yourself and use it against the people who cause you problems.
Yeah.
And I mean, people say about, oh, threefold, 3 times good, 3 times bad. But I look at it that if somebody's causing me problems, then the 3 times bad's coming back on them.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I'm not. I would never directly go and cause if I, for whatever reason, and it's not very. If I particularly didn't at work, didn't like somebody, I wouldn't do something just to upset them.
Yeah, but witchcraft goes back centuries because in the Bible, in the book of Samuel, we've got the witch of Endor, who is seen as a woman who carries a little pot around with her. Back in those days, apparently, if you carried such a pot around, you used to channel spirits and bring them through, like through a smoke in this pot. So she's called the Witch of Endor, and she shows up in the Book of Samuel in the Bible. So it goes back so far. And I think we're coming to the end of our. Lewis is still out in the forest trying to pull forward highwaymen. So we're going to do another haunted camping tomorrow night, and we'll see if we have any highwaymen come forward by then. And in the meantime, we'll bid you good night, and we're going to have our supper, and then we're going to turn into our tent. So we'll take care, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you for watching, everybody, and many thanks for subscribing.
And thanks to the 6 new people who've subscribed since we've been away.
Thank you very much. Is it Dan Nixon?
Dan Nixon.
Thank you, Dan Nixon, for subscribing today, and thank you, is it Andrew Wright, who gave us the really nice comment. And all the other people that have subscribed. We will catch up with who you are and your names when we get back home.
Yeah.
We're on the road right now, and we will shout out to as many of you as we possibly can. Okay, so take care, and thanks for watching.
Yeah.